Generally, when Lola came into the bar for a good rare steak and a beer, she tuned out of the human conversation going on around her. But, even without supersensitive wolf hearing, the loud table of older women having a divorce party nearby was impossible to ignore. Men are such dogs, girl, a heavily made up woman exclaimed to a thunderous round of agreement from her friends. Then she tipped her Cosmo up to her mouth. Child, don't even get me started, said another, slapping the nearest of the five girlfriends sitting next to her. Lola kept her eyes on her plate. They didn't know the half of it. Her best friend, Raina, nudged her with a knee under the table. So, riddle me this, Raina said, leaning in. If the human males are such dogs, then why have these women spent a mint on nylon hair, false eyelashes, push-up bras, and acrylic nails? Clearly this isn't for each other, right? Because, Lola said, releasing her breath in a rush, they want to attract a mate, and all that stuff is what I guess human males like. Long hair, big boobs, flirty eyes, and manicured hands and feet or whatever. But they don't want to attract a Neanderthal. They want a mate, but a guy who's sensitive and caring and honest. Raina frowned and simply stared at her for a moment, the concept not getting through her beautiful skull. They don't want the strongest in the pack? I don't follow. She glanced at the women. They want a sexy, virile alpha, yes, but that doesn't come with sensitive and loyal and all that. That's a beta, a freaking collie, Lola. Do you get one in both form amongst humans? What would that be, an alpha beta or a beta alpha? I'm told they exist, but they are rare. Like unicorns, I bet, Raina murmured in awe and then sent her focus back to the table of partying females. These stories are better than watching those human shows like Jerry Springer, but I still don't understand why they would dress for an alpha when trying to land this aloofa alpha beta, whatever the humans call them. It's complicated. Do you want your vegetables? Lola asked, swiping Raina's broccoli, already knowing the answer. Arguing the point was useless to a woman who'd never walked a mile in human shoes. Raina was always hot and was born into a wolf pack. She'd been bred by old-fashioned natural selection. A hot alpha mom, a dad who was the leader of the pack, which meant she had 0% body fat, hair that flowed like the river Nile every full moon, great nails, long lashes, perfect skin, and a permanent tan thanks to her Lakota roots. It was depressing. Lola, on the other hand, knew all too well what the women sitting a table away were talking about. You seem far away tonight, Lola. What's wrong? Nothing, Lola said quietly. It's just that I I don't fit in. Of course you do, Raina said too cheerfully. How can you say that? Uh, hello? I got left for dead after a rogue beta noshed on my ex-boyfriend during a supposedly romantic let's see if we can work it out again camping weekend. So I got scratched by a criminal you guys were hunting down, which is the only reason I'm allowed in the pack at all. And if I thought dating before was hard, sheesh, I have to explain really bad mood swings during a full moon to a human guy. Doesn't really play out that well, you know? Ugh, you make it sound like you got an STD or something. You're a beta werewolf female. Now get over it. That's normal. Most are. It's no crime. Come on. Lola looked Raina squarely in the eyes. The only time the pack guys ask me out is when they think I'm in heat, if you haven't noticed. When Raina looked away, she knew she had. Listen, Lola said, sipping her beer. I know you feel really bad about what happened. It was my fault that your friend got mauled and you got bitten, Lola, her friend said. The pack knew Jita was a little left of center and had planned to send our alpha after him, but I know, you went into phase and all anybody could do was howl at the moon. Lola polished off her beer, also knowing that, were it not for guilt, one of the most popular girls in the pack probably would not be spending an ounce of time with her. She owed Raina a lot, too, since it was that friendship that kept the other less tolerant females from messing with her. But Raina was a big old lovable softy inside, even though she had the capacity to rip your face off. I know, Raina said, lifting her apple martini and trying to switch the subject. We should go for a run. Oh, Matt, I don't know, Lola protested. That means we have to get naked and shape shift, and I'm not that comfortable doing that so close to a full moon. Your body is fine, Raina said, clasping one of Lola's hands. Your coat is gorgeous ticked brown. I look like a gangly German shepherd, let's face it. Oh my god, you do not! It's not sleek and black like yours. My canines are short and my back haunches are fat. Plus, will you stop? No, you go ahead. I'm gonna check my email and look at... Email? Raina nearly shouted and sputtered on her drink. Shush, will you keep your voice down? That's right, one of the ladies from the party table said it, leaning way over in her chair. Tell your girl she's got to get out and get naked. Got to drop all inhibitions when they dog you like that. Both Lola and Raina gaped at the older woman who'd clearly been sipping much longer than they had. Yeah, said another one, slightly slurring the word. But she can also get her swerve on through the internet. She needs to date out, too. Raina cocked her head to the side for a moment. Outside the species? The woman at the table erupted in laughter. They are aliens, all men are. So yeah, go outside of your species, girl. A rowdy round of high fives and hoots brought a hurried server over to the table for a fresh call of drinks. To Lola's horror, 2 umbrella drinks got sent to them as a part of the party. Thank you so much, Lola said and pasted on a smile. Thanks, everybody, Raina said, nervously raising her glass. Just a little something to get your confidence up, one of the ladies called across the table. Enjoy, and when you see some women younger than you going through the dog-tired blues, you send them a drink. That's right, honey child, another said, laughing. Pay it forward, thank you, Jesus. I don't really drink, Lola whispered to Raina. A beer, maybe wine, but this looks really dangerous. Oh, live a little and say thank you again once you drain the glass. Raina fussed and then lifted her glass towards the adjacent table. Thanks a lot again. Next round is on me. You go, girl, a heavy-set platinum blonde hollered, and then they all lifted their glasses towards Raina and Lola. We up here in the Poconos for an all-girls weekend, and you are so welcome to join the festivities. Trust me, we're going primal, hun, so tell your girl to drink up. We'd better finish these drinks and get out of here, Lola said in a nervous whisper. Okay, Miss Party Pooper, but let's just play it by ear. They have no idea that dating out for us is a whole different experience. Lola shook her head as she watched Raina make short work of her drink. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to do a vampire? Raina said in a conspiratorial tone. No, Lola said in a sharp whisper. What she didn't say was that it was hard enough to wrap her brain around the possibility of doing a guy who had 4 legs. Okay, that's fair. The whole blood and biting thing could be a little freaky, and I'd worry that I could accidentally forget and leave a shade up or something in the morning. Disaster. But you've got to get out there and try. Why? Raina finished her drink and ordered another round for both tables, then folded her arms. When's the last time you've been laid? Lola's mouth flew open and her face got hot. I am so not answering that question. I'm being serious. Like, before your ex-boyfriend got, eaten? We were broken up and it had been a while. I was healing. On hiatus. Which was why when he called with that, should we get back together and see if we have a chance crap, you went. Yeah, I went. You know, crazy-ass Jeter probably did you a great service, even though we had to formally put him down in the pack. Human flesh is such a taboo. Bad for the mind, body, and spirit, especially with what humans consume today. But from all you told me about him, he was an absolute jerk. And it worked out. The park rangers said it was a bear attack, so everything was cool. Now all we need to do is get you a real boyfriend. A hot bod. Lola opened and closed her mouth before any words could come out. Raina, sometimes I don't even know what to say to you. I know, she said, grasping Lola's hand in friendship again as the table beside them erupted when new drinks arrived. Good, because we're leaving here and gonna go to this cool little vampire blood bar I heard about. She could not believe she was doing this. But how did you tell the Pax She alpha, thanks but no thanks. In a word, you didn't. What had started out as a girls' dinner at Outback was quickly morphing into a hostage adventure. A Mai Tai and Yungling lager were doing hand-to-hand combat in her stomach, making the steak and potatoes and, of all things, garlic bread and cheese broccoli repeat on her. Oh my god, I think I'm gonna be ill, Lola groaned. It's just the adrenaline, nerves, the rush of the hunt. I ate garlic bread. The black SUV swerved. Oh shit, said Raina. Quick, in my purse. Take like 5, 6 mints and give me a couple. Lola complied and began rooting around in Raina's purse, bypassing condoms, a couple of joints in a baggie, and her cell phone. Can I ask you something? Sure, Raina said with a bright smile. Um, is well, is Bruno gonna flip if he finds out somehow that you went to a vamp bar and be mad at me? He won't be mad at you, lolly dolly, I promise. Just a little old me. Lola sat sideways in her seat, stretching the seatbelt around her. But he is gonna flip, isn't he? Do you know how many women that man has fucked up and down the eastern seaboard? Not to mention throughout all the mountain ranges between here and Kentucky? Screw Bruno! I'm doing a vampire tonight! Okay, that's it. You've had too much to drink and you are not thinking clearly. Turn the SUV around or let me out on the side of the road, Lola said, holding her head. Thought you two were doing okay and were a permanently mated pair. I don't want to. We are a mated pair, Raina said, her voice taking on a sudden tone that Lola had never heard. But he knows there isn't an alpha for miles that would dare dominance challenge him, so he thinks he can do as he pleases. She glanced at her purse as her cell phone vibrated. I'm in phase and nowhere to be found. Those older human females were right. I'm not letting him dog me tonight. Tonight, I'll let him twist. Lola sat back in her seat and just closed her eyes. She didn't know what she expected. Goth, maybe. But the techno-punk beat, neon strobe lights, and naked girls dancing the poles with snakes was not it. Welcome to Little Hell, the bartender said, flashing fangs. What'll you fine canine types have tonight? Jack. Neat, Raina said, scanning the bar. And give my girlfriend whatever you've got on tap. The bartender smiled. Baby, I've got O positive, negative, A, B. You're gonna have to be a little more specific. I'm the designated driver, so a ginger ale will be just fine, Lola replied, leaning in so the entire bar didn't hear her order. The bartender gave her a thumbs up and leaned in closer as Raina stalked away from the bar and entered the dance floor solo. Your girlfriend looked like she's on the serious hunt tonight. A real alpha. Is there going to be a problem in here if her man finds out? For a few seconds, Lola simply stared at him, blinking. You just answered my question. Thanks, honey. It's my job to know these things so I can telegraph it to my bouncers, he said with a toothy grin. He gave her a little shrug. That way we reduce property damage and keep it all in the parking lot. But if she came in here for some action, she came to the right place. Our barons love this kind of adventure. Keeps them from getting bored. He handed Lola a ginger ale with a twist of lemon, as well as Raina's drink to hold for her while she was on the dance floor. The only thing Lola could say was, "Oh," as she watched her girlfriend move with the music. It was a primal, sultry, sexy dance that drew the attention of several handsome young vampires that had been aloof and monitoring the crowd from the perimeter. Sweat soon stained Raina's shirt, and Lola glanced around, watching the males slowly wet their lips and take a slow sip of what looked like Merlot but wasn't. Then her girlfriend's head jerked towards a dark-haired suitor's intense gaze. She smiled and gave him her back to consider, seductively gyrating her perfect ass as a temptation. A blonde male in the corner stood at the same time the dark-haired suitor did. Both males locked gazes as Raina closed her eyes and moaned. From the corner of her eyes, Lola watched her girlfriend's small clutch vibrate across the bar. She quickly set down her ginger ale and grabbed it, then flung it up under her arm. Please, Bruno, don't come looking for her tonight, Lola said, and then accidentally sipped the drink she was holding and came up sputtering. Let me help you with that, a smooth, baritone voice murmured so close to her ear that she almost fell off her stool. The name's Andre. He rounded her bar stool and blotted the spilled drink with a small square bar napkin. I've never seen you in here before. My first time, Lola said, setting down Raina's drink and taking a huge gulp of her ginger ale. Then she hoisted her purse higher up on her shoulder, awkwardly balancing two purses and her drink. So, not being sure how far you wanted to take this adventure, he said in a smooth Caribbean lilt, you decided to ingest garlic? Lola covered her mouth and he laughed a deep, rich belly laugh that warmed her insides. Sorry, he said, coming to sit beside her. I didn't mean to tease, but couldn't resist. You're simply the most interesting woman I've encountered in a very long time. May I replace the drink that I have spilled? It wasn't mine. It was for my girlfriend, and like a klutz, I accidentally drank it. That's all right, he murmured. Sometimes I drink things I'm probably not supposed to. What can we do? Lola looked up into one of the most handsome faces she'd ever seen, and looked back down at the mess she'd made on the bar. His skin was so dark and even that it made her want to reach out and touch it. Instead, she traced drops of Jack Daniels with her finger against the smooth mahogany that reminded her of his skin. Thick, black lashes rimmed his intense, deep-set eyes. Strong African features made him look more like a work of art than a living being. Then she quickly reminded herself that, technically, Andre wasn't alive. But damn! Stone-cut body sat beside her, openly studying her, and she refused to make a size judgment based on his wonderfully large hands. In that moment, she wished that she had on a nicer blouse to go with her jeans and heels. Something black and daring and V-neck like Raina wore instead of the scoop-neck purple thing she had on. Andre leaned on his forearms at the bar, but inclined his head toward her. What you have on is just fine, he murmured. It's your style, and what is within each woman that is different that makes a man yearn to uncover. You read my mind? Like... It is what we do, he said, with a casual shrug. But some things are written all over a lovely lady's face. He hailed the bartender. Please, replace Lola's drink for her friend and refresh her ginger ale. Her mouth is going dry. Stop that, Lola replied, sounding testy, but couldn't stop smiling. Andre held up his hands in front of his chest as the bartender removed Raina's drink and knocked back what was left in the glass. So you came here tonight to babysit your girlfriend? Lola shrugged and took a fresh swing of her soda. Pretty much. I'm a bouncer here, and I see this all the time. Beautiful woman comes in, begins tweaking up the testosterone on dangerous males, and voila, the perfect storm. Lola watched his gaze travel to the dance floor where two interested vampires had Raina between them. I think those guys are willing to compromise with a three-way, but I don't think your girlfriend is ready to experiment that deep in the life yet. Lola choked on her soda. I've got to get her out of here. Andre nodded. Yes, you do. But the window has passed, so I'm going to ask you to jump behind the bar with old Matt. Jump behind the... No sooner than the words had passed her lips, the front door came off its hinges, and 7 burly werewolf pack males charged the dance floor in full transformation. Vampires took to the rafters and second-floor railings. The dance floor cleared, and Raina placed her hands on her hips. Excuse me, Andre said, catching a wood-handled baseball bat from the bartender, which had a silver club end. Now would be a good time to get behind the bar. Lola scurried over the bar, but stood watching in amazement. Gentlemen, I'm afraid you're going to have to take this issue outside, Andre called out calmly, advancing on the floor with 10 buff bouncers. Bruno transformed back into his human form, standing before Reyna, naked and angry with a hard-on. This is between me and my lady. Then keep it that way and take her home, another bouncer shouted. I'm not going home with him, I'm going with them, Reyna shouted, taunting Bruno. Lady, you don't have to go home. But you can't stay here any longer, another bouncer yelled. Shall we call you a cab? The rebuffed, dark-haired vampire said with a sneer towards Bruno. We can see her home before morning, the blonde said with a knowing grin. Andre wiped his free hand down his face. Come on, dudes, give me a break tonight. The moment Reyna stepped back from Bruno, the bar erupted. Chairs flying, punches hurled, fangs came out, and canines got bared. Pole-dancing females screamed and dodged flying beer bottles, carrying off their snakes as huge bodies took out the stage. A chair hit the bar, followed by a table that shattered bottles above Lola's head. She scrambled to safety just in time as the entire shelf crashed on the floor. But there wasn't time to dwell on the near miss. Lola kept moving, dodging hurled furniture and hard-landing bodies. Finally, a shotgun blast and the smell of silver shell discharge brought the bar brawl to a screeching halt. Enough! A velvet-suited vampire said, coming down from the executive office. Wolves, go home! My vampire staff, re-glamour this place and put it back together! Disgruntled patrons murmured their disappointment. The bartender shook his head. Damn, just when things were starting to get good. You coming? Bruno bellowed towards Reyna, folding his arms over his massive barrel chest. After I get my purse, she said, lifting her chin unfazed, and going back to the destroyed section of the bar where she and Lola had been sitting. Lola stood there for a moment gaping as Bruno nodded, and then hunted on the floor and picked up her handbag. All right, but hurry up, girl. There's still some moon left, Bruno said after a moment when Reyna folded her arms. Stunned, Lola watched Reyna collect her bag and then collect her car keys. Girl, you don't mind driving yourself home tonight, do you? You know how he gets all tense and sexy, and I guess I'll have to give his fine ass some. Reyna dropped her car keys into Lola's hands and then hugged her, whispering in her ears. We've got to do this again soon. Tonight was awesome. There were no words. Lola stared behind her girlfriend and the pack alpha, noticing that several of his beta friends were now giving her the appreciative eye. Then a deep, baritone voice filled her ear and made her turn away from the group by the door. Why don't you stay? Hang out with us tonight. It'll raise your stock in the pack. She shook her head and found herself chuckling at Andre's hand sign to call him. Yeah, she was dog-tired and just wanted to go home. She'd experienced enough drama for one night. But when she looked back, the vampires generally seemed forlorn, as though the melee was the most fun they'd had in years. I don't have your number, Lola said after a moment, and loud enough for the werewolves to hear her. Andre laughed a deep, rich island laugh as her phone sounded in her purse. Now you do. I don't mind dating out if you don't. Call me, just not in the morning, and no more garlic. Cool?